What's up, guys? Welcome to Grizzly Beer Reviews. So I was just, me and some of my buddies were drinking a beer, and I wanted to share some thoughts because it's kind of it's a limited release and it's a special beer. It's the Brooklyn Black Ops. They're bourbon barrel aged black chocolate stout, re-fermented with champagne yeast. It's pretty limited, and it was very expensive. And well, I mean, for me, it was expensive. But I wanted to, it was a very interesting beer. It kind of had us confused for a while, and it's been a very weird drinking experience, drinking this beer as it's warmed up and breathed and everything. And so I just wanted to share some thoughts with you. When we first poured it, the smell was very vinous. There was a lot of red wine, white wine, champagne-y kind of smells. And it was, there was not a lot else coming through besides that. And that winey smell and flavor really accentuated the booziness of it. And it's 11.6 alcohol, so it's a pretty big beer. And like I said, it really just came through even more with those winey characters. But then when we first tasted it, the carbonation really kind of threw us off because it was very carbonated. And this is a pretty fresh bottle. It's only like a few months old. It's this last batch that just came out. But the carbonation just kind of threw us off because it's very carbonated. It almost made the body feel a little too thin. And then those champagne yeasty characters were just not letting the beer taste the way that it should, I guess. But as we let it breathe and as that carbonation kind of let up a bit, some more of those nice milk chocolate, dark chocolate, roasty, smoky coffee flavors came through, and finally some of those bourbon and vanilla flavors came through. But at first sips, we were really disappointed. We really were just like, this is, I mean, it was so drying. I mean, it already is a really dry beer, but when we first started sipping it, it was like, it would just leave our mouth feeling dried out. It was not an enjoyable experience. But like I said, as it's warmed up even more, as it's had time to breathe, it has turned out to be a pretty enjoyable beer. I still wouldn't say that it's worth the price, and I don't think it's worth the hype, but I will say that it has become a better beer than I thought it was. But not as good as I thought it was going to be. I do wish that it was a bit creamier, a bit thicker. I think that some of the vanilla flavors from the bourbon could come out some more, and some of those chocolatey flavors come out some more. But, you know, these are my last sips. This is the end of the bottle. It is still pretty hot, you know. It's not the Brooklyn Black Chocolate Fresh is a bit abrasive, and this does have some of those qualities. It has been kind of, you know, rounded out a bit from that bourbon barrel aging, but you do still get some heat from that 11.6%. And you do pick up some bourbon, some nice bourbon characteristics, some nice woody characteristics. I do wish there was more of that vanilla coming through, and then there is some like chocolate and some roasty flavors coming through as well. But overall, I will say that I'm slightly disappointed. Not as disappointed as I was when I first opened it. I do think that it's redeemed itself quite a bit after warming up. But yeah, I think I'm mostly disappointed just because it was so expensive and so limited, and that it just wasn't as good as, you know, some of the other big imperial stouts, bourbon barrel aged imperial stouts that I've had. But I'm really glad I got to try it just so I can know what it's like and everything, and it was a really interesting beer, and so it was a good experience overall, I guess. But yeah, so I just wanted to share my thoughts with you guys. Now, I've heard a lot of mixed reviews. A lot of people say they don't like it, a lot of people say they do like it. I guess I'm just somewhere in there in the middle, where I think there's some good things, but I also think there's some bad things, and it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. I wish that I had another one to age. It's just so expensive, you know, because I've heard that with some time on it, it really smooths out a bit more. And so I think, like, you know, this with a few years could do wonders, but I just can't. You know, I can't go spend that much money on one beer again to let it sit for a while. But maybe I'll meet somebody someday that has one in their cellar, and I'll try and convince them to open it. But anyways, guys, thanks for coming back for another episode of Grizzly Beer Reviews. I know this was kind of a weird review, but come back for more episodes. This has been an interesting beer.